It is not. After some countries forcefully sent them back, many refugees that have returned home are facing things like abuse, arrest, and disappearances. In the US, with major cleanups coming along at the East Coast, President Joe Biden has officially approved major disaster declarations for New Jersey and New York. According to NPR.org, the intense winds and floods from the remnants of Hurricane Ida left at least 50 people dead and numerous counties completely destroyed, being the reason the major disasters have been declared. These declarations will help citizens receive assistance in rebuilding their lives. As for local news, Essex County is not included in the approved major disaster declarations. According to Montclair local news, Mayor Sean Spiller does not agree with President Biden's decision, as he claims in an interview that after looking at the damage, it's, quote, impossible to comprehend how FEMA determined we would not be granted assistance from the federal government with it. The weather in Montclair is currently 63 degrees with a clear sky. Temperatures going up to 81 degrees with a low today from being 61 degrees. The clear skies will be consistent all day and the air quality is at a 34, meaning good. I'm Gabby Lutz, and this has been your 7 a.m. newscast here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Back to you, Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you. And moving over to Campo, what is happening in the world of sports?
Well, Kyle, in the world of sports, good morning, everyone. It's good to be back in the studio, obviously.
That it
In
is.
the beginning of the semester. But it's now time for today's sportscast. In the NFL locally, New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley has been cleared for practice ahead of Big Blue's Week 1 matchup against the Denver Broncos. Barkley hasn't played a legitimate snap since Week 2 of last season after tearing his ACL at Soldier Field versus the Chicago Bears. The Yankees could not register a run whatsoever against Toronto as the Blue Jays walloped the Bronx Bombers 8-0. Marcus Semien hit 2 homers, including a grand slam, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit his 40th homer of the season, trailing Salvador Perez and Shohei Ohtani for the league lead. Edwin Diaz has blown his 6th save of the season after giving up 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to the rival Washington Nationals. The Mets lose 4-3. And college football is back. Wins by Alabama, Ohio State. Oklahoma survived a close one versus Tulane. Now, Tulane was supposed to play in Louisiana that game, but due to Hurricane Ida, they moved the game to Norman, Oklahoma. And the fun thing is that they actually spray painted the Tulane logo onto the field in Oklahoma, which is kind of cool. And also, Clemson was upset by Georgia by a score of 10-3, and Notre Dame beat Florida State 31-28 in overtime. And on this day, for all sports fans, well, you could celebrate this one because on this day, 42 years ago, ESPN made its debut. And I think it's a birthday celebration for the program as well. So that's a good thing for sports fans. Well, I'm Campbell Diamond. That's been your sportscast this morning. Back to you, Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good to have you here because myself, don't know too much about sports. So glad we have an expert in the studio with us. But moving on to our top story today. Obviously, there's been some discrepancy regarding the vaccine. Obviously, there's a large group of people who don't want to get it, but that group also includes those who can't get it. And Washington Post has reported on why some of those reasons may be. So vaccine hesitancy is defined by the World Health Organization as a delay in acceptance or refusal of vaccines. However, this term has become used to describe the unvaccinated as a whole, which is not always true. Monica Schock-Spania, a senior scientist at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, says that calling vaccine hesitancy an issue is dismissing a large amount of other reasons that people are unable to get the vaccine. Schock-Spania and her research team found that many reasons as to why people, especially Hispanic communities, aren't getting the vaccine are due to, one, misinformation. One of the things the video on Washington Post mentioned was that the microchip, obviously, as we've heard of, that there might be tracking elements in the vaccines, which have been proven to be untrue. Access issues, including technological difficulties, transport issues, and language barriers. Schock-Spania herself said, quote, The problem is that a monolingual Spanish speaker who doesn't have a digital device cannot get an appointment to get vaccinated, end quote. And another main reason is immigration status. And although it is free to everyone in the although vaccinations are free to everyone in the US, regardless of immigration status, there are many who express concerns about getting vaccinated due to their immigration status and asking to provide an official government ID. Over 50% of unvaccinated Hispanic adults say they are more likely to receive the vaccine if it was offered at a place they go frequently. And 4 in 10 said they would more likely get it if it was arranged by their work or employer. So that's not good news. That it's not people who don't want the vaccine right now. We're looking at communities right now, and not just Hispanic communities, but minority communities as a whole that are having issues just even accessing the vaccine. It's one thing to choose not to get it, and we'll talk about that in one of our later stories, but not being able to is just horrible.
Yeah, it is funny how it's kind of like the conversation so far has kind of very quickly been dominated by like this like these people who very much do have access to the vaccine but aren't willing to get it. But it's this paper is pointing out that like there are still very real reasons where people who do want the vaccine can't get it.
And I think that highlights on this obviously highlights that there's bigger problems other than not getting it that we should focus on. Gabby Campbell, any thoughts?
No, for sure. I mean, just think about it. Montclair's campus, we have the exemption for people who religiously can't get it or because of medical reasons. So there are very valid reasons as to why people can't get the vaccine.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. There are still plenty of people who just simply don't want it. But there are plenty of reasons, obviously, as to why people won't get it.
And it's still a big choice between not wanting to get, well, I would say choice very loosely, but like is getting an exemption, like having the ability to get it if you could, but not, and then just straight up not being able to even access it. Campbell, anything to say?
Well, I mean, like Gabby said, we have exemption for it, but the fact that still people aren't trying to like ease their way out of getting the vaccine.
Right.
Of course, with the whole mandates now sort of and rules kind of coming back into fruition throughout the state and the tri-state area, of course. But I mean, it's tough to see that people are still refusing the vaccine, even though it's their choice that if they want to get it or not. I mean, these days, it's either this or that, but so.
Yeah, exactly. But that's all we have for that one. Jake, what's going on in the more political world?
Oh boy, something's always going on in the
world. It is, but this one has the potential to be beneficial to most people.
Dare we say this might be good political news?
That's a rarity.
Okay, let's tread carefully from here. So the headline goes, this is from the New York Times, from cradle to grave, the Democrats move to expand the social safety net. According to AP News, during this week's meeting of congressional committees, Democrats will try to significantly improve the social safety net since the 1960s. This expansion will affect virtually all lives in America from birth to death. To pass this over $3.5 trillion bill, Biden will need the approval of every Democrat in the Senate and nearly all the House of Representatives. However, some of the moderate Democrats, such as Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Kristen Sinema of Arizona, have already refused to support such a high-priced plan, as we've seen in similar actions in the past from these two. They're citing, obviously, the cost and, I suppose, the ambition.
Right.
Heather Bauchi, I hope I pronounced that right.
Yep.
Member of the Mr. Biden's Council of Economic Advisors said, quote, polls have shown for a very long time that these issues to support American families were important and more popular, but all of a sudden it became nice to have, but not a nice to have, but a must have. Republicans, on the other hand, are preparing a counteroffer stating that this proposed bill is, quote, financially unsustainable and would undermine economic growth by rendering Americans too dependent on the government for their basic needs, end quote. What the bill plans to do is allow parents to take time off work during and after pregnancy by providing them with paid family leave and medical leave. Once parents are ready to go back to work, children older than 3 can begin formal education because of universal pre-K programs. Most families would then continue receiving federal income support through monthly child tax credits. So that's kind of interesting. I feel like I am curious because I feel like, I don't know, if $3.5 trillion is going into this, there's gotta be more to it than just medical leave. That seems like a lot just for that. But that being said, I do think medical leave for pregnant people and new parents is a very important thing that is like grossly absent in this country. I feel like that's something I've been hearing about forever, that just the way we treat parents, new parents who are trying to figure out this crazy stage of life with just absolutely no sympathy.
Yeah, and obviously there is more to this bill, but this was like a big portion of it, like something that we haven't seen before. I think it's good, but I'm a little bit inclined to agree if they go too far with some of the disputes on this. If they go too far with this, providing too much support, people are going to get dependent, and then that's going to lead to some, big, deficits, for lack of a better word, in like society as a whole. Because if you're relying on somebody for everything and not doing anything, that can turn into a major issue down the line.
Yeah, I don't know. Whenever there's any sort of social safety net or welfare program, there's that aspect to it of like, okay, how much is too much? But I think at the time we're in of such gross inequality, I think it's like, I don't think we have to worry about doing too much, in my personal opinion. Like, just considering how bad things are and how little there is.
Very true. Gabby, Campbell, anything?
No, definitely. I mean, there are two sides of the spectrum for this, right? So there's the side that's like, okay, where is America getting this money? We're already how much in debt? Like, that's a lot of money to put out. We're already like trillions of dollars in debt. But at the same time, I do also see the fact that like the leaves are very beneficial, especially to children. I mean, we've seen it over quarantine. These parents have spent so much time with their newborns and like their young children because they've been off work, and it is beneficial to them and it's beneficial to their relationship. So I think that has also been seen within the past year or so. And I think that like it's good, and that's definitely something that needs to be done. I think maybe putting so much money into it is a little bit much.
Because didn't we just also pass like a multi-trillion-dollar COVID relief bill too?
Yeah, pretty much, most definitely.
I think that was an infrastructure, or I don't know, maybe that was another
infrastructure bill. It wasn't infrastructure.
Oh, okay. But still, multi-trillion dollars. This is now the second multi-trillion-dollar bill they are trying to pass, which that's a lot of money.
And we just watch.
But it's also the government, And I think another thing I want to talk about, because you were mentioning the benefits, was also the economic potential for this. Like happy parents, and being able to be with their kids during their very like first years. That has the potential to really be useful in the long run.
Right.
In terms of like productivity and what those people end up doing when they do go back to work.
Very true. But with that being said, we are going to take a quick break here on WMSC, 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. And when we come back, we're going to be zooming in to more New Jersey based news. So stay tuned for that. And welcome back to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, the fall morning buzz. Almost said Monday because I'm so used to the summer buzz, but no, it is actually Tuesday, September 7th. And I'm your host, Kyle Pepitone, joined with Jacob Goetz, Gabby Lutz, and Campbell Donovan. And now we are looking at New Jersey stories. And here's where it gets crazy. As a Rutgers student says he's being stopped from taking virtual classes because he's not vaccinated. According to NJ.com, Rutgers transfer student Logan Holler came into the school in 2020, taking virtual classes throughout his junior year. And for his senior year, he planned to do the same. Holler has no intention of receiving the vaccine, saying, quote, I'm not in an at-risk age group. I'm healthy and I work out, but I don't find COVID to be scary. If somebody wants to be vaccinated, that's fine with me, but I don't think they should be pushed, end quote. As Rutgers was one of the first campuses in the country to mandate the vaccine, they allowed exemptions for those who were in fully remote online degree programs or online only education programs. However, this did not apply to signing up for virtual courses. After completing all the necessary requirements before the start of the semester, Holler found out he was locked out of his Rutgers emails and other accounts. The university's vaccine hotline told him that even though all his classes were online, he still had to be vaccinated. He was then told he could apply for an exemption, which, if approved, would reinstate him into the system within 2 to 4 weeks, but that would mean he would miss classes. However, he was also told after that the university wasn't granting any waivers submitted after the 23rd, which was obviously way before this. Holler still hasn't been able to attend classes to this day, which have started September 1st. Holler's stepdad, Keith Williams, said, quote, I believe in science, I believe in vaccines, but I am highly confident that COVID-19 and variants do not travel through computer monitors by taking online classes. He chose to remove himself from an on-campus experience so that he would not need to be vaccinated. Now to be removed and shut down from his Rutgers email and online classes during the start of the senior year seems a bit crazy, end quote. Rutgers spokeswoman, Dory Delvin, says the university's policy stated, quote, registering for classes that are fully remote, synchronous/asynchronous, is not the same as being enrolled in a fully online degree granting program. Holler has also stated, quote, I find it concerning that the vaccine to be pushed by the university rather than my doctor. I'll probably have to transfer to a different university, end quote. And, quote, I don't care if I have access to campus. I don't need to be there. They could ban me. I just want to be left alone, end quote. Oh, boy.
This is a lot.
Very.
So
Can I give a potentially kind of hot take?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this situation seems like it's not super fair. I'll admit that.
Right.
But also, just get vaccinated. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I guess it's your choice and everything, but also like do it. I don't know. That's you could have just gotten vaccinated. I don't know.
But at the same time,
I-
the main reason he signed up for all these classes was so he didn't have to, defeats the whole purpose. And I'm kind of inclined to agree with him here, because if I'm all online, why do I need, if I'm never showing to campus, if I have 100% certainty I'm never coming to campus, why do I have to, in a sense, abide by their rules? And I say that term very loosely because obviously that could lead into some unintended things.
You know,
especially if he is doing the whole like self-quarantining thing.
Right.
It's like, okay, that he should probably be allowed to do that, but also get vaccinated. That's what I'm gonna say.
Gabby?
I think there's so many takes on this, because like, not only is like, do I agree with him? Yeah. Like if he signed up for online classes, he should be fine. But when you go and look at spokeswoman Dory Devlin's quote, and she says like registering for classes that are fully remote is not the same as being enrolled into a fully online degree program, I kind of get it, because think about it. I mean, I know personally here at Montclair, I enrolled for some in-person classes, and then my professors changed them to online. So a professor can easily say, yeah, this class was supposed to be online, but we're going to do it in person now. And then what's his name? Holler.
Logan.
Logan. Then what does Logan do? You know, does he just drop the class? Because then you're just wasting money as it is.
Right.
But I can also see like he did enroll for those things. The university should have earlier on informed him, hey, even though it's all online, you do need to get exempt at least.
An email like that would have been helpful. Yes.
Yeah, just give him a heads up. Poor thing.
Campo, anything to say?
I mean, looking at this, it's kind of crazy because both Jake and Gabby said this, but I mean, it's crazy because like he's online and he doesn't have
Yeah.
to step foot outside to go to the campus.
Right,
And-
exactly.
But they really didn't give him a helpful, like, informative email to discuss the
No,
like
they
the
Mhm.
all
problem.
according to him, all he
Yeah.
got were the general emails saying like, "Oh, hey, yada yada. If you're not vaccinated, make sure you upload it and whatever." And since they were mass emails spread out to pretty much anything, he just assumed, okay, that's for anybody who's in person, not me because I'm not. And then he goes in, tries to go in, finds out he's locked out, and has still been unable to take classes right now, and they're almost a week into the semester.
You know what?
Yeah, honestly. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. I
Okay.
should say.
Yeah. Oh.
No, you're good. Go do it. Do it. Do it.
Okay. I was just gonna say this, like my more lukewarm read on this is less that it's like a big, I guess, political statement on the part of the university, and more probably just like a record keeping or housekeeping issue.
Right.
Like, I don't, like, he probably like didn't get the online thing and didn't have the vaccination status, and that just kind of caused a problem.
Right.
And I don't know, because of poor record keeping and housekeeping, it's just things
Yeah.
got messed up.
Yeah. And like in the coming days, weeks, or whatever it is, we'll see what he winds up doing, if he winds up disputing it, getting the vaccine, or just straight up transferring.
Yeah.
We'll have to see in the coming days. But moving in even closer to the Montclair area, Jake, what's happening with Essex County as a whole?
Oh man, well, they're telling FEMA we need some help. So according to NJ.com, during the Federal Emergency Management Agency's major disaster declaration, Essex was one of the counties that didn't make the cut for government aid. Individuals and businesses in the 6 approved counties, Bergen, Gloucester, Huntingdon, Middlesex, Passaic, and Somerset, can apply for aid and recovery relating to Hurricane Ida. Montclair Mayor Sean Spiller said, quote, "Given the devastation that our residents, businesses, and township have experienced, it is impossible to comprehend how FEMA determined we would not be granted assistance from the federal government." Unquote. Councilman Peter Yakovalis said that the country could make the list in the coming days, and I said country again. County can make the list in the coming days, and quote, "It is my understanding that the county is still being evaluated." On behalf of the residents and businesses in Montclair who were devastated by record 7.54 inches of rain that sent a deluge of water into schools, homes, stores, and restaurants and created significant risk to life, I'm pleading with FEMA for this aid, end quote. Residents all across the country experience major flooding, especially in residential basements. Not-for-profits such as Studio Playhouse, the Montclair Orchestra, Montclair Film, and the Human Needs Food Pantry are experiencing major flooding and damages due to Ida, as well as Montclair High School, Bradford Elementary School, and Hillside Elementary School. Essex County Executive Joseph N. DiVerenzo Jr. stated, quote, "The storm was indiscriminate in how it destroyed businesses and residences, flooded entire downtown areas, buckled roads, and took lives. We understood the severity of the storm and declared a state of emergency prior to its arrival because we knew the after effects would be devastating. The tremendous losses by residents and business owners of Essex County should not be overlooked. We don't deserve to be forgotten by FEMA. I stand with Governor Murphy in demanding that Essex County be eligible for federal disaster relief." Governor Murphy's press secretary, Alanya Alfaro, post said that Essex and the rest of NJ's counties can make FEMA's list at a later day. Oh man, well, this is sad. This is a very unfortunate situation.
My first question is how? How do you not include over 50% of the counties in this bill or whatever, this declaration? Only 6 of New Jersey's 21 counties are currently on this bill. The entire state was hit, and you single out 6 to receive relief?
Yeah, that's kind of odd.
What?
Or a bit, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And New Jersey is not a big state.
No,
no.
So
No,
those
it's
counties
not.
are
Yeah,
small.
that's the thing.
Yeah, so it makes absolutely no sense to me. I'm not a politician. They might have a perfectly good reason for it, though I personally doubt that. But how do you like? I could understand like maybe 15 got approved and like they didn't have the funds for, I don't know, whatever the math adds up to. I believe that's 6. Yeah. So they did a total flop. They approved 6, left 15 out. Why? How? If it's a budget problem, they didn't have the funds for 15 counties. That's another issue that probably has to be dealt with.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. But
Don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
that seems odd to just put them all in one, put all your eggs in one basket like that.
Don't get me wrong. There are some counties that truly like did not get much damage. Like I know where I live at home, like we didn't get a lot of damage
Right.
in my like area, but 20 minutes away from me, they did. But then like up here,
Yeah.
I'm watching people's Snapchat stories and I'm like sitting here looking outside, seeing cars drive through this big pile of rain, and I'm seeing
Exactly.
how some of our best dorms on campus are like having damage like from like coming through the ceilings of like water.
Oh yeah, that was
And I'm
right
like,
outside my room.
exactly. And I'm like, how is that not enough? Like these are our newest buildings and they're getting damage from this rain and this flood. Like I
Right.
don't understand.
If it was a few counties, I could reason, okay, they probably didn't get hit with a lot of damage. But Essex County, me being here during the storm, I know we got hit pretty bad. So it makes absolutely no sense to me. And other than I've got nothing else to say regarding this story.
Yeah, it's odd. I feel like there are so many compounding issues here of
Yeah.
like budgeting and how much damage was actually done. And it's like, how do you even calculate those things? How do you even deal with that?
Well, but hopefully, fingers crossed, in the coming days,
Yeah.
Essex and all the other counties make the list. But in the meantime, we are going to take a short break. And when we come back, we are going to have an interview with Andrea Basis, who is the president of the Unified Asian American Club here on campus. So stay tuned for that. The world, or in the Montclair area, Gabby.
All right. So as for the weather for the rest of this week, today is going to hit a high of 81 with clear skies. So nice and sunny. Wednesday is going to hit a high of 82 with some expected thunderstorms. And the rest of the week is seemingly clear, lately cloudy skies also. Thursday will be a high of 79, Friday 77, Saturday 79, leaving the beginning of next week on Sunday to be 82 degrees. So pretty decent weather, I'd say, around here for the next week.
That's good. I mean, I was speculating on this yesterday. I'm like, we only got a few good days of weather, or few weeks of weather yet left. Words are escaping me at this moment. And then it's going to get frigid.
It's going to
I'm okay
get
with
cold,
that.
and we're in
Yeah.
Montclair, so it's going to get windy.
It's New Jersey weather.
Yeah, New Jersey was compared to Florida this summer, and it's going to be compared to Alaska in the winter. It's New Jersey's weather
Yeah.
makes absolutely no sense. But anyway, coming up right now, we have an interview with Andrea Basis, like I said, the president of the Unified Asian American Club here on campus. And here is that. Hello, and welcome back to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, the Morning Buzz. I am your host, Kyle Pepitone, joined today with me with Jacob Goetz. And we have a special interview today with Andrea Basis, president of the Unified Asian American Club here on campus. Thank you for taking the time for doing this with us today. So what is the main mission of your club on campus? Like why did it start in the first place?
So the main purpose of UASA, that's our acronym and what we're called. So our main purpose is to teach and educate our members about the Asian community and the Asian culture, as well as Asian American issues. And also we strive to bring the diverse community of MSU together through our educational events and just interact throughout our social events.
Very cool. And how has that been? How has being the president of an organization like that been for you personally, and also like academically and socially?
So this is actually my second term as president. I was president last year, so I'm gonna be able to see both. I was able to see both like
Mhm.
a remote semester, and also since now the university is transferring back to normal, I'll also see that. So
Oh, wow. So it's still almost kind of like a new experience for you because you were president, but it was just online, right?
yeah, exactly. So it is like, I will admit, it's not an easy job. It is a
Oh, I'm
stressful
sure.
position. Like, especially like trying to accommodate to the new
Mhm.
COVID restrictions and then them being lifted and suddenly new ones being added. It
Mm.
is a lot to work around, especially balancing with my major. It is definitely like a lot to juggle. But once I've seen like the end product and see how our general members like to enjoy our events, I do think it's worth it and very rewarding.
Oh, that's amazing.
Definitely.
Speaking of those general events, what do those look like? What like activities and like services do you guys like to kind of organize around?
So we do hold some discussion-based events. Like this
Mhm.
past year, we held a COVID-19 discussion on how it's impacted the Asian American community as well
Oh,
as
yeah.
Asian American businesses. And like our more like interactive social events, we had like mixers where we had new members meet old members through like personality
Wow.
quizzes or just game nights. We also had a couple of in-person events since that was allowed last year. Our biggest time is actually this past April, where we celebrated Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. And we had like our flag raising for that, where we had a bunch of the other Asian organizations representatives speak on that part. And as well as following that, we had a kind of like a little market, like styled as H Mart. It's like a Korean supermarket. And we just gave out snacks, we gave out little goodies, had line dancing. It was just like a fun time.
Oh, wow. That's so sick. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
So it was like a whole big like celebration event for like everybody in the club. And I'm assuming people who were interested who weren't formally part of the club were able to attend that as well, correct?
Correct.
That's
Nice.
amazing. And so speaking of these events, like we said, now since we're for the most part in person now on campus again, if somebody was looking to become a member, what are your meeting times like for the general meetings? Where would you meet and what times?
So we meet every Wednesday, 3 to 4. Our room for our general bodies are still in the process of being approved. Tentatively, they will be in University Hall 1016, I believe. But if you want more updates on that, we will. People can find us on our Instagram at MSU_UASO or engage as well. And they're welcome to join our Facebook group, Unified Asian American Student Organization.
Awesome. Awesome. That's really cool. And um, so furthermore this year, like you said, you've had a lot of in-person events last year because they were allowed as restrictions were being lifted, and though things are very wary come the future in recently. Are there any big plans you have for this semester and the next semester to really take the club above and beyond from what you've experienced it as in an online sense last year?
That's a really
Sorry,
good
that was a lot.
I mean, okay, so it's actually really interesting because by the spring semester, that's actually our organization's 20th anniversary.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
So
wow.
we do
That's
plan
awesome.
on trying to do like big events celebrating like its history, its creation, and just how much it's evolved since then. So I think my plan is to make our April Asian Pacific American Heritage Month super like reminiscent of that and just understand like our roots and like how we all came together through that.
Yeah. That is cool. And could you tell us a little bit about that history of like the club? So is this a club that is like multiple schools, or is it just like a Montclair thing?
As far as I know, this is only a Montclair
Oh,
organization.
wow. So it's
And
been at Montclair for 20 years.
yeah, so
That's
the
so
organization was founded spring 2002.
wow. That's awesome.
And are there any like plans or like any possibilities of this type of organization being spread to other schools? Like, I understand that there's a way to do it, but has that been in your agenda to spread the awareness of Asian culture to other universities, either nearby or in a much larger radius?
I personally haven't planned on expanding like UASO's name to other organizations just because since last year, since we took advantage of being remote through contacting other Asian American organizations, for example, like Stockton, Temple, Drexel, we really took advantage of being remote and interacting more through our social media and collaborating with them actually. And UASO is actually part of a student union called ICASU, which involves all the East Coast Asian American organizations to meet eventually and educate others on other issues.
Oh, wow. That's really sick. That really ties into like the unity of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And with that being said, so what overall, like, how do you expect attendance to change between this year and how it was last year? Do you expect there to be a bigger turnout of events and general members? Or do you think because it's, in a sense, less convenient than Zoom, that club numbers, not just yours specifically, but overall, if organizations and clubs are going to suffer because it's more in person and a little bit more demanding?
Honestly, my thoughts on attendance is it's kind of a bit unknown. I'm hoping it could increase slightly just because like I have met a few of our members that joined last year virtually, but when we had in-person events, it was kind of difficult for them to come because of convenience and all that stuff. So I'm hoping like now like in-person stuff is more, in-person events are allowed now that we'll be able to see more faces, have people be more familiar with us. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think it'd be easier to like promote this club to people who might not know about it because we're more in a kind of enclosed space on campus rather than scattered about via Zoom?
Yeah, I do agree just because like me as along with my executive board will be like around campus. We are a wide spread of different majors. So it is possible to like encounter one of our faces and also just like for us to promote publicly now instead of just virtually and have people like just happen to stumble upon us.
So I was wondering, what can people like expect when they come to a club meeting?
If it's anything like I've seen since I joined, you're just gonna see like a very welcoming community, it's very family-like. You'll get to see like how close people are and how much like we're all bonded together, and just like you'll see how like passionate and proud people are to be part of the Asian American community, and just how like there's so much more depth than people think there is to our community. So I think that's what people will see if they do decide to join us.
Definitely.
That sounds really inviting.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned before that during some of the meetings you have like discussions about Asian culture, Asian American heritage and culture and stuff like that. Do you care to go deeper into that? Like what kind of things you've discussed in the past, and like any topics you have in mind for future discussions for the club?
So in the past years, our general body has, sorry, let me reword this. I think what I've realized in the past year that we do have a lot of communication in film majors. So we do touch upon the topic of Asian representation and media. So that's like a huge thing with us, especially especially like I would like to cover again, especially with the Shang-Chi movie coming out soon and how it basically crushes all the Asian stereotypes. Other topics we have talked about are like the different festivals, like the Mid-Autumn Festival, and obviously we talk about Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. We do cover a lot on mental health along Asian Americans, just because there is that cultural disconnect between the older generations and Asian Americans.
Right, of course.
And that is something I do really want to go over this year, especially with how much the going virtual in the pandemic has affected the Asian American community.
Yes, definitely. It's been a huge impact, and not so much for the better.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering, I know you mentioned something about mental health as a part of like the discussions and as a part of what the kind of group is about. And I think that could be a really cool thing because I don't know, it could be scary with some of the news like we're seeing. I know that's a big thing every once in a while. And it seems like a really good source of, community and support.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And just one more time as we near the end of the interview, if people are interested in joining or becoming a general member of the club, where can they find you? Where can they find more information? And where would they be able to find the meeting times?
So if anyone's interested in joining you also, most of our information and updates are on our Instagram at MSU_UAASO. You can also join our Facebook group, Unified Asian American Student Organization, as well as on Engage, Unified Asian American Student Organization.
Awesome. And
Beautiful.
well, that will bring us to the end of this interview. Thank you so much, Andrea, for joining us today and spreading awareness about this club, because I think it's really cool. It's a really good sense of community that you're providing to people. And I think a lot of people would be very interested in joining and just, learning more about not only the culture, but those discussions too. Those seem like a really big part of the club that could be very beneficial to a lot of people.
Mhm. Thank you for inviting me and letting me speak about it.
Anytime.
Of course. It was lovely having you.
You're welcome here on WMSC, 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Anytime you want to talk about something.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
And thank you once again to Andrea for, coming on and speaking with us about the club. I think it's really cool. But that's what you got. I want to know what you all thought of that.
I think it's great. I think it's a good place for people who are alike to find each other and create a community, really.
Yeah. And speaking of that community type of thing, if any Montclair students are interested in finding a club that suits them, our club fair is tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
I, for one, am pretty excited because it's been a long time since I've been on campus. So I'd like to join some more clubs because I was in a few my freshman year, and then I was in just radio every year after that so far. But here we go. Moving on. We have a pretty interesting story here about a plumber who landed a record deal after a music mogul heard him singing while fitting his bathroom. So according to the Good News Network, 49-year-old plumber Kev Crane landed on a record deal after fitting the bathroom of a music mogul, Paul Connealy, completely unaware that his client owned a record label. While doing the job, Kev would sing his favorite songs, ranging from David Bowie to Meatloaf. Impressed by his vocal talent, Connealy offered Kev a record deal, and the once plumber now has an entire album under his belt. Kev recounts his experience saying, quote, I got a call to go in and quote some bathrooms. I thought, fair enough. I then started to work on Paul's house, and I like to sing while I'm working. And he pulled me into the living room one night for a conversation about my singing voice. I started telling him that I love music, that I used to be in a band and had written an album, more of a hobby, really. I was shocked when he said he wanted to hear it. I sent him the album on the Friday and thought if I don't hear from him over the weekend, I can just go back to work for him on the Monday and just carry on fitting bathrooms, end quote. Kev then wound up finishing Paul's bathroom while simultaneously finishing his album in the recording studio. The first tracks are scheduled to release weekly up until the Christmas season, and afterwards, Kev plans to write for other artists, which is completely insane. I love it. It's so wholesome, and it's so pretty inspiring too. And so I will ask you this question, everybody here. What are some of your hobbies or dreams for the future that you would like to go into?
I guess I could go first, but talking about me, I mean, if Kev was singing Paradise by the Dashboard Light from Meatloaf, I mean, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
So, but hobbies wise, I mean, my goal is to become a sports broadcaster, play-by-play and/or color. I mean, that's what this radio station and the sports team is helped me find my voice, and I thank them for that. So, and I mean, everyone has hobbies nowadays. So, I mean, I'd love to hear everyone's hobby nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. Gabby, you?
I mean, first of all, Kev, a man of many talents. So proud of him. And I don't even know him. But for my dreams, I mean, it's actually kind of funny because we're here in a radio studio, but my dream is to become like professionally like on the radio. Like
Oh,
I want to
cool.
work for Elvis Duran in the morning show. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Nice.
If I could do
That's
that one
nice.
day.
Yeah. Myself, I'm pretty much in the same boat as Kev, minus the ability to do plumbing. But yeah, this is what I want to do. I love writing and stuff, and I would love to make an album and stuff. And Jake is also a music person, and he'll talk more about that later, or in a few seconds. But yeah, like I really want to do this. And I've been writing lyrics and poetry for close to 5 years, I believe, something along those lines. And yeah, I mean, I don't have the musical talent though. Like I can write, but I don't know enough about instruments, music theory, any of that to like fully
Kyle,
formulate a song.
I would say this: if I wasn't so invested in sports, I've always wanted to be a singer as a kid. I've always wanted to sing as a kid.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. I mean, it's crazy, like the things we want to do. But yeah, it's so weird because like it's weird because he was in the band. He was in a cover band
Yeah.
beforehand, and he went on several auditions, but he went on like 2 auditions for UK, I believe it was talent shows, but they didn't work out. And he just kind of decided, oh well, that's fine, and he went into plumbing. And he's and now here he is singing while working, because who doesn't love to listen to music while they do things?
Especially cleaning.
Exactly. And it's insane because it's so cool. And Jake, what are your dreams for the future? We were talking about the plumber who got a music deal because he was singing while fitting a bathroom. So what are your hobbies or goals for the future?
Oh, I have many. I need to, oh God, so many. I need to make a film. I need to make another album. I need to, I have many dreams, Kyle.
Right.
So
'Cause
many albums. Everybody like play
Everyone wants
something.
to make music.
I said Jake was a music man, and
Yes.
it's crazy because like you've put out an EP, correct, Jake? Or an album?
I did.
Yeah.
I did once. It was just a small, tiny little E EP.
But still, that's so cool. Like I would love to do that.
Are you on like Spotify? Like, can I listen to you on my
Yeah.
car rides?
Yeah, if you're interested, Jake is on
Yeah.
Spotify. You can listen to him. It's just your name, correct?
Yeah, kind of.
Yes. I'm gonna
Yeah,
find
that's
you.
more
But like I would love that, something like that, because it's so cool. I love music, and I have so many. I'm gonna say this very loosely, very warily, but I have a lot of things to say.
Uh-huh.
Probably not many of them worthwhile, but it's just like cool because it's something you've done. Like it's cool to listen to some songs and be like, oh, I like those lyrics, I like that tune, whatever, it really spoke to me. But to like have somebody say that about your work, I can imagine that's a great feeling.
Oh, definitely 100%. Because you put out music and all that out into the world because you want somebody to feel something.
Yeah.
And it's typically your feelings that you bring out there. So it's nice to when somebody says, oh, your song made me feel something. It's like, oh, cool. So we're like connected now. Like,
Yeah.
Especially with like people who are singing on TikTok. Like
Right, yeah.
they sing, they play music on TikTok. They do covers of songs, and people are just on the comment section saying, "Oh my goodness, your voice is amazing. You're so talented."
And that's
And-
how I discover a lot of new songs,
Yeah.
honestly, all the time. TikTok.
And like they could extend to like both of what you guys said too. Like have somebody tune into you and be like, I want to hear this person. I want to hear their views. I want to hear what they have to say. It's the same thing. They're there for you and the stuff you create. And to have that, like, go about your daily life, like, hey, this is my job now. Whatever I do, yada yada yada, do, singing. And oh, hey, look, now I have a record deal. I can't. It's insane. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
I agree.
But with that being said, we're going to take another short break as we transition into the second half of the show. And we will be back with more somewhat lighter stories here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. So stay tuned for that. And welcome back to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. This is the Tuesday Morning Buzz. I am your host, Kyle Pepitone, joined with my co-host, Jacob Goetz, our newscaster, Gabby Lutz, and our sportscaster, Campbell Donovan. We are back on the second hour of the Fall Morning Buzz Tuesday edition, and we've got some more lighthearted stories coming up, including, let's see, how about personalized NRA vaccines that can combat aggressive forms of cancer? A new boat-plane hybrid that can really make short-term travel pretty fast. And, of course, a burst pipe leading to a long-lost ring. But before we get into that, Gabby, take it away with the newscast once more.
All right. I'm Gabby Lutz with your 8 a.m. newscast here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. In international news, Syrian refugees are facing abuse after being sent home. According to DW.com, some government leaders found Syria safe to come back to, but as an Amnesty International report shows, it is not. After some countries forcefully sent them back, many refugees that have returned home are facing things like abuse, arrest, and disappearances. In the U.S., with major cleanups coming along the East Coast, President Biden has officially approved major disaster declarations for New Jersey and New York. The intense winds and flood from the remnants of Hurricane Ida left at least 50 people dead and numerous counties completely destroyed, being the reason the major disasters have been declared. Declarations will help citizens receive assistance in rebuilding their lives. As for local news, Essex County is not included in the approved major disaster declarations. Mayor Sean Spiller does not agree with President Biden's decision, as he claims in an interview that after looking at the damage, it's, quote, impossible to comprehend how FEMA determined we would not be granted assistance from the federal government with it, unquote. The weather in Montclair is currently 63 degrees with a clear sky. Temperatures going up to 81 degrees, with the low today being 61 degrees. The clear skies will be consistent all day. I'm Gabby Lutz, and this has been your 8 a.m. newscast here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Back to you, Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabby. And once again, we have Campbell here for the Sportscast. Campbell, what is going on in the world of sports?
Well, Kyle, Saquon Barkley, the star running back of the New York Football Giants, will be cleared for practice ahead of their Week 1 matchup against the Denver Broncos. In baseball, the Yankees cannot get anything against the Toronto Blue Jays, as Marcus Semien and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. combined for 3 home runs per a grand slam from Semien and Guerrero Jr. in his 40th of the season. Yankees lose 8-0. And Edwin Diaz could not get the save against the Washington Nationals, as he blows his 6th save of the season, as the Mets lose to Washington 4-3. College football has returned this past weekend. Statement wins from Alabama and Ohio State, along with Oklahoma surviving a close one against Tulane. Clemson and Georgia went at it, and miraculously, it was an upset as the Bulldogs defeated the Tigers 10-3. And Notre Dame defeated Florida State in overtime 31-28, as Florida State played their first game of the season after the passing of longtime head coach Bobby Bowden. And today, in 1979, the debut of the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, known as ESPN. So it's ESPN's 42nd birthday today. And Kyle, that has been your new sportscast. Back to you.
Wow, 42 years. That's amazing. And once again, thank you for, like I said, no, I'm not a sports person myself, so it's good to have an expert here. But before we move into our lighter news, we have a bit of sad news as actor Michael K. Williams, who played Omar Little on The Wire, has been found dead or has passed away at 54 years of age. The actor was found in his Brooklyn penthouse by family, and his death is being investigated under the suspicion of an overdose. Williams' filmography also includes Boardwalk Empire, where he played Chalky White, Lovecraft Country, 12 Years a Slave, and Assassin's Creed. Aside from acting, Williams was also playing part in a charity in New Jersey that helped former inmates reintegrate into society. Many of Williams' co-stars on The Wire paid him tribute after his death, going on Twitter to say very nice things about him. Number one, or Wendell Pierce, who played Detective William Bunk Moreland, wrote on Twitter, quote, "The depth of my love for this brother can only be matched by the depth of my pain learning of his loss. An immensely talented man with the ability to give voice to the human condition, portraying the lives of those whose humanity is seldom elevated until he sings their truth," end quote. And creator of the show, David Simon, also said, quote, "Too gutted right now to say all that ought to be said. Michael was a fine man and a rare talent, and on our journey together, he always deserved the best words. And today those words won't come," end quote. So very, very sad news.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen any of those? The Wire, Boardwalk Empire, Assassin's Creed, 12 Years a Slave, any of those?
I've seen a bit of The Wire,
You have?
and I know that show is so widely regarded. It's
Really?
like, yeah, like online with like Breaking Bad and like one of the best television shows out
Oh,
there.
wow.
So it's so sad. Like,
Yeah.
it's so sad to hear about this.
Yeah, definitely. But it's good. Like, it's sad, obviously. But I when I was reading this article, I found it sweet that other than acting, he was actually donating his time to charity to, like I said, help former inmates receive help getting back into society. And furthermore, was working on a documentary on that subject. So he really believed in like what he was doing in terms of helping out the community, because it's one thing to volunteer at a like a charity and stuff like that. It's another thing to like make an entire documentary regarding it and using your talent to like bring more light into it. So I found that part of this article to be very inspiring and very wholesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I saw 12 Years a Slave. I haven't really seen his other stuff, so I don't know too much about him, but it is always a shame to see somebody, one, so young, at
Right.
54 years old, is not that
No,
old at
no,
all. I
no,
mean, like,
not at all.
same age as my mom. So it's like, that's like crazy to me. It's, and like somebody so involved in life and, you know, always like volunteering and charity and things like that. Such a good person to pass away. I mean, very loved, obviously. So
Yeah, like you said, and you look at the show like The Wire. I mean, at the peak of the early 2000s, I mean, at the time, The Sopranos was a hit too. Both shows on HBO, and
Right.
so, and like 54. I mean, that's the same age as my mother too. So it's very sad. And one of the quotes from in his character as Omar Little, "You come at the king, you best not miss." I think everyone nowadays knows, like 20-year-olds who know what, and
Right.
older know what that quote is. Like they've like heard it all the time.
Yeah, totally.
for sure.
It's like, it's so sad to see somebody with such an impact on like the community and the world pass away so soon, especially like when they have so much more to offer, that having that cut short is so ridiculously unfair.
No, definitely. I agree. So may he rest in peace.
Definitely.
Mm.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we're going to take a quick break and then come back with some more stories. WMSC Upper Montclair with the Morning Buzz for the fifth time, maybe. I forget how many. I'm Kyle Pepitone, joined with Jacob Goetz, our newscaster, Gabby Lutz, and our sportscaster, Campbell Donovan. How is everybody doing once more?
Fabulous.
Awesome to
we're
hear.
in, we're
Awesome to
alive.
hear.
Great. Jake, how you doing? Okay, I'm going to assume you're doing good. All right, I got a thumbs up. We're good. But with that being said, we have more stories to go on to, specifically with nature. And, unfortunately, there are some declining, what do you call them? Populations, places in danger of being, species in danger of being extinct, but there's a silver lining. Jake, do you want to take this one?
I unfortunately do not have the script in front of me right now because I'm on my phone.
All right, you know what? All good. I'll take it from here. But AP News reports that the newest red list of dwindling species show that more species of sharks and rays are going or are in danger of going extinct. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature, IUCN, has announced that the number of sharks and rays considered endangered increased from 33 to 37% over the course of 7 years. Reasons for this increase include overfishing, habitat loss, and of course, climate change. Shark populations in the oceans have dropped by over 70% since 1970, and out of over 138,000 species tracked by the Red List, more than 38,000 are classified as endangered species. However, there is a bit of a silver lining, as the IUCN has stated that several species of tuna were able to follow a path to recovery and escape the threat of extinction, and the same is possible for other aquatic species, such as the aforementioned sharks and rays. So, bad news to start off with, but, moving on, we've got some pretty good silver lining. If the right precautions are taken, some of these sharks and rays can come back into a more thriving population rather than the scarce one they are currently standing at, which is a shame because 70% over 30, 40, 50 years, I believe, is a very high amount.
That is a large percentage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, just like, wow. I don't know the number of sharks that were like the exact number of sharks back then and now, but a 70% decrease is a major decrease.
No, for sure.
Ouch.
Yeah. And it is a shame to see such, horrible news because of overfishing, the habitat loss, and all this stuff. And, that it's our fault. It's
Very
not,
much
it's
so.
not the dolphins who are overfishing. It's
Nope.
us.
Zebras didn't do it.
The zebras didn't do
They didn't do anything.
No,
It's
exactly.
all on us.
You're 100% right.
A lot of this
yes,
stuff is on
zebras
us.
do eat
Yeah.
some stuff, but they're not the
They eat
ones.
grass.
They're
Yeah,
not
I don't
eating
know.
the sharks.
Maybe
That's-
someone fed them a fish, but one
Yeah, the
who fed
zebras
them
ain't
a
eating
fish,
sharks like you
probably
say.
one of us.
If anything, the sharks would eat the zebras.
Oh yeah.
It's just unfortunate that we really have to sit here and see that these animals that really aren't doing much are dying, and they're going to eventually become extinct, like the dinosaurs. It's really sad. I'm laughing, but it's one of those I'm sad, I'm
Yeah.
laughing kind of things.
right, exactly.
It's just it's unbelievable, really. And the fact that people just don't seem to understand that this is a problem, and that's why it keeps going on, the overfishing and all that stuff, it's because of us, like we said already. It's just unfortunate that people really still continue to overfish and
Right.
take over these habitats. It stinks.
Yeah, and let's say you're not concerned about the fish per se. I don't know who would be, but let's say, climate change affecting fish populations. Who care? We just experienced a really bad hurricane. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been the first one since Sandy. That can't be right?
It's definitely not the
It's
first one.
Not the first one, but probably the one that came closest to being as bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely
don't
the
know.
worst since.
Yeah, that doesn't just happen every once in a while. It's
And
getting
especially
worse.
when
Yeah.
you see some of the images that are coming out of New York City of the subways being flooded and and all the, all the chaos there related to what rain. Like there's a reason there aren't old photos that look like that. Like this is not a thing that normally happens.
No,
Exactly. I
this
mean,
is Mother Nature yelling at us.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we're
absolutely.
getting a good old talking to by.
and
Yep.
Yeah.
that's the thing. I forget where I heard this, but somebody said like the earth is resilient. It like all this stuff we're doing to it, it can come back from us.
Yeah, it'll be
However, we
fine.
cannot.
Exactly.
The earth soon enough will do enough I'm sure, and this is my speculation, soon enough will do enough damage to the earth will just wipe all of us out and then rebuild itself.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like it always does.
Exactly.
I
And
think
it-
it was Kurt Vonnegut that said that kind of summed it up. It's like the earth is fine, the people are not.
No,
Well,
literally.
that's not the exact quote, but I can say
Right.
the exact quote on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, the earth came back from a meteor that wiped out like dinosaurs. There was ash and stuff in the air for I forget how long, but it was a long time. And yet somehow we're here and we have the sun, which was previously blocked out by said meteor. So the earth can come back from a lot. The things on it, however, not so much.
Yeah, like I said, the dinosaurs, they're gone.
Yeah.
We're here now.
Yeah.
What are we next?
Haven't been seen since.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so, although like not every species on Earth is that fragile, because as we can see, there are certain species of tuna that have come back from endangerment. And like I said, if the right precautions are taken, these fish and these rays and sharks can come back too. Campbell, have you got anything else to say?
It stinks to see that these fish and animals are being endangered, but like the percentage wise is astonishing
Right.
from when it was back then to now. I mean,
Yeah, 70% decrease. The in danger increase has gone up 33 to 37% over 7 years. It's horrifying statistics. And like I know like sharks are not everybody's favorite animal, considering they're pretty deadly, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean they should be wiped off the face of the earth because of us.
No, but it's actually funny because we kill more sharks than sharks kill us, literally
Exactly.
within a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's a
realistically,
good point.
Yeah.
and that is a statistic. But like, I don't have the exact numbers, but I know I've read
Right.
it numerous times.
Yeah.
That's
And
like
we're
a
not,
fact.
we don't have rows and rows of sharp teeth.
No, exactly. So the fact that they're the ones going extinct and they have these like great
Right.
defense mechanisms is
Yeah,
a problem.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's I can't wrap my head around like why, in a sense, nothing per se is being done. Like obviously there are steps we can take to save these species, but it depends on if we take them, that if they come back or not.
Unfortunately, there are lots of ignorant people in the world who are the
Right.
reason that it'll never
Yeah.
fix itself.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jake.
Oh man, I was just be sadly agreeing. Yeah, it's just kind of the way things work. Like mass fishing is just kind of the way the economy runs. Like it's a big, or I guess the meat not the entire economy is not based on mass fishing, but
Right.
like, that's how we get fish. And I don't know, unless there's a big shift to like, I don't know, worldwide veganism, which I'd say is
probably won't
unlikely.
happen.
No.
It's just going to keep happening.
Yeah.
As long as there's a market for fish, it's gonna keep, people are gonna fish them.
Right, exactly. I mean, like, I don't even know what to say, but like with every other kind of movement, I guess you can say, out there, or like plea for social change, celebrities have gotten involved, and actor Harrison Ford actually has made a plea to safeguard these marine life, saying, quote, "It's hard to watch the rise of nationalism in the face of a global threat that requires global cooperation, global action. It's hard to read the headlines, floods, fires, famines, plagues, and tell your children that everything is all right. It's not all right. It's not all right." End quote. So, like, obviously, like, celebrities have tons of influence and power. And when they get on things like this, it's really good to see, because not only are they advocating for something that'll benefit everyone globally, but it also, and this is going off on a tangent here, but it also reminds them that they're humans just like us. They live on this world. They're not so untouchable as they seem.
Mhm.
No, I very much agree.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I couldn't have said it better myself, to be
Right.
honest.
And like, there's nothing else I can say except repeat what's already been said. But yeah, I really do hope like they come back, like we take the right steps as our species. I hope we take the right steps to save these
Guys,
species.
Save the
Think
sharks
about
and
it.
rays.
If
Exactly.
we lose the fish, there'll be no more aquariums. Do you know how fun aquariums are?
They're so
You just
fun.
Look
They're
around
awesome. I love
and
'em.
just see it. You know the aquariums with the tunnel that you walk through?
I've
Yes.
seen
It's
that.
like you're
Yeah.
in. It's like you're in the thing.
Right. Yeah.
Without
we can't
aquariums,
lose
you won't
that.
have Girl
This
Scout
is-
sleepovers.
Well, unfortunately, I can't say I've ever been to one of those.
I have, and I got to sleep near the
Yeah.
sharks and the jellyfish.
You got
Come
to
on. Are we going to
Yes.
rob these beloved childhood memories of the children of the next
yeah.
generation?
Have you ever been to
Exactly.
I
Jenkins
won't stand
things?
for it.
I
Not
have. I don't
today.
think I've ever been to the aquarium there though.
And the aquarium's awesome.
Have any of you ever swam with dolphins? I feel like that's a very.
Oh wait, I think that was the
No.
thing once at like a Disney thing.
Oh,
I
really?
don't.
I'm nervous.
I don't
to
know.
swim with
I've never
dolphins.
swam with a dolphin.
Yeah, but soon enough. Well, obviously, it's not the dolphins going
No,
extinct. It's sharks, which you can swim with too. So
I would never swim with a shark.
sharks?
Mm-mm. Nope.
I
No.
don't think I could either.
They
but
can exist
Yeah.
peacefully on their own.
yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
No, I'll stick to the aquarium for that
Well,
one.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
those who want to might soon not have that experience unless we do something about it.
Exactly.
But
Yeah, we gotta
yeah.
protect the adventure thrill seekers.
But unfortunately, we can only advocate for so much here on the radio station, and we can only hope so much as well. But when we come back, we are going to talk about some more lighthearted stories and some pretty shocking ones too, involving, of course, a Florida man.
Love
So
Florida man.
Oh man, the
stay
Florida man
tuned.
story. There's always one.
Stay tuned for that one. That I've ever heard from Florida that's actually like pretty wholesome. And it just, like the man sings to alligators and reads to alligators. He's got an entire show, and might I say, the Gator Crusader. What a name.
That is iconic.
Oh my goodness. I love that name so much. And the article itself actually had a video, and he seems like a genuinely nice dude, like one of those explorer types who like love nature. He's got a very Steve Irwin vibe to him. He's not your typical Florida man who's consumed whatever substances they have down there and might, who knows, but he seems very genuine, and he seems to very much enjoy what he does. It even says in the article, wherever it is, that he loves this. He's loved this from such an early age as well. He's wanted to perform with gators like from a young age. The exact quote is from the article. Here we go. Quote, he said he's loved alligators since he was a child, and even told his school counselor in high school he already knew he wanted to perform with gators as a teenager. End quote. So this is kind of going back to that story from before, the plumber one who was singing while doing his job and now lands a record deal that he always wanted. Some people have it figured out, and this man knew what he wanted to do and went for it. And I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say like where he lives probably gave him a bit of an advantage, because something like that is just as crazy for something Florida to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what better place to do something like a gator show than
Exactly.
Florida,
Yeah.
the home of the gators.
Exactly.
A lot of access.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
we don't have, at least I hope we don't have many of those up here in Jersey.
We don't.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
and let's keep it that way.
Unless
because-
they were put here, we do not.
Yeah. I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, I'm scared of deers in close range, I
Deers
would,
are kind of vaguely threatening, right?
yes,
I feel like we need to talk about this.
see, the thing with deers is they're unpredictable. They seem calm,
Yeah.
but they can go, excuse my pun, buck wild
Yeah.
in a second. Alligators at least look threatening 100% of the time.
Nah, but like whenever I see the deer on campus, I just kind of have stare offs with them, and then like nothing happens. They just look at me, and I look at
I
them.
literally saw a bunch of deer last week as I was going home.
Yeah.
I saw them
You
today.
do
as
not
I was
know
walking
what
home.
they're gonna do.
Yeah. See, it's fine if you see them ahead of time, but when you're walking, as I was,
Oh my
turn
God.
your head and they're right there and you didn't even notice it. One, that's a problem I have to work on, not noticing things. But two,
Yeah.
like that is just, it's a jump scare, essentially.
No, definitely. I have like a quick funny story. So we're like, it's like moving week, and my friend had my roommate, my friend moved in, and they were walking outside, and we live at Hawks Crossing. So behind us is that wooded area.
Right.
So there are a lot of deer over there. And there was a deer, and they were staring at my roommate, and my roommate was staring back. And then they looked away, and then my roommate looked away, looked back. The deer was still staring at them, and then just like urinated, right in front of them as they stared at her.
That's so.
It was like a power move, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's an
enough.
expression of dumb.
We're talking about gators here, not deers, but
Oh yeah.
I don't know how we started this comparison between New Jersey deer and
It was your
Florida
fear.
Gators. Sounds like two sports teams. But yeah, and now I just got to thinking, what if our plumber friend who has the album deal teamed up with the Gator Crusader and did like a duet together
Oh
for
my
the
God.
alligators?
That'd be great.
Gator Crusader featuring the Kev. That'd be good. I think
Yeah,
they should
Kev-
get together.
Kev puts out his album and it says like, I don't know, I can't think of a song title right now, but like the Gator song featuring the Gator Crusader.
Oh my gosh. And then like the gators making noises as the background. Oh my gosh. Look at that.
Instead of drums, it's like a whole Disney thing. The animals are the instruments.
Yes. They could make a
Yeah.
they can make a Disney movie about him. That would be so cute. Disney,
That's a novel idea.
That could work.
pull through.
Oh my goodness. I mean, like Florida never ceases to amaze with like the stories that come out of it.
Oh
but
God, no.
but this time, like it's something nice.
Exactly.
Like it's not like we've had other stories with alligators where people's what was it? We talked about one over the summer where where some guy tried to throw like a gator on top of a building.
what?
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People really just use gators for everything, don't they?
Florida.
They do seem
Florida's
very
a-
Yeah.
versatile.
Yeah.
They do. They can
Multi-use
fly.
gators. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's I don't know how else to describe it. It's finally what I would deem a more wholesome story to come out of
Yes.
this state, Florida.
And it's so adorable that the gators like the singing and the reading stories.
Yeah.
Adorable.
I know.
So cute. Which you
Like-
never think about
Mhm.
gators that way.
No, of course not. I mean, like, there's a whole 20-minute interview on the what's it called? The article. And like, like I said, he seemed like he genuinely enjoyed what he's doing. B seemed like a genuinely nice guy. And like, he's very knowledgeable because the article says he's very well known for one of his clips where his rope swing snapped and he actually fell in with the gators.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh,
Obviously he's talking about
God.
it. So
Yeah. He's fine.
Yeah, it must have worked
But
out.
like he even said, like, that wasn't planned. I didn't want to do that,
Yeah.
but I've bonded with these gators. And so like it's kind of like that scene in it's kind of like Jurassic World where Chris Pratt's character, whose name escapes me, bonded with the raptors so they don't immediately go after him.
Yes,
It feels
exactly.
very similar to that.
Yeah, it's like those stories of like people who like took little cubs and then they raised them into the lions, and then the lion like sees them in the future after they're like gone
Right,
from
yeah,
their
right,
thing, and they like
wild.
give them loving as if it was like just a little house
Yeah.
cat, you know?
It's so cool. Like seeing that kind of stuff is always so cool because I'm not a psychology major, but I'm like 90% sure that can be classified under Pavlov's conditioning.
Probably.
Because like
Yeah.
if these things are like violent per se by nature, and like they can recognize like their owners from when they were cubs
Yeah.
and like show them love and affection and not maul them,
Nature versus nurture.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably a better way of putting
Yeah.
it rather than, but yeah, like that is always so cool to see stuff like that.
Definitely agree. No.
Campbell.
I mean, bunch of wholesome stuff regarding two people who like to sing, and one's with animals, and one's got a record label already. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
good.
a lot of power.
Yeah,
Much
maybe
more upbeat
You could do
story.
anything from there. You made it.
yeah, maybe the Gator Crusader can one day get a record deal too.
That'd
'Cause
be so cool.
that'd be
for him.
awesome.
I hope for.
I'd love to see it's a new releases on Spotify. The Gator Crusaders debut album. I'm
Just
running out
Gator.
yeah,
Just
Gator.
Gator.
Yeah.
That's what
Gator
it's
because I cannot think of some type of reptile pun
gonna be.
that I can,
Oh my gosh.
name the album. I don't know too much about reptiles to, have enough information to say something. I'm surprised I even got the Buck Wild joke in there.
Oh yeah. But it was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's all we have from Florida for this week. Who knows what's going to happen next week? But moving on from crazy news to good news, we've got
Yeah.
new cancer treatments that may be on the horizon thanks to personalized mRNA vaccine trials. From the Good News Network, thanks to a new mRNA vaccine, those with aggressive forms of cancer can have their immune systems fight off the cancers on their own. The messenger ribonucleic acid vaccines that started the production of the COVID vaccine. So these type of vaccines have influenced the production of the COVID vaccines that we are seeing nowadays, were originally used to combat specific types of cancer. Molly Cassidy, a mother diagnosed with head and neck cancer, joined the University of Arizona's clinical trial after her cancer returned despite receiving chemotherapy. During the trial, Cassidy received 9 doses of the vaccine over a 27-week period, and the CT scans showed that she was cleared from the cancer that had returned. Personalized medicine is becoming more common nowadays, with many medical facilities taking genetics into account before prescribing therapy for many things. As we've seen earlier this year, the same thing with personalized medicine is happening with Alzheimer's, where we're going through these trials, and like many people are coming out of it better than if they had just taken like the come one, come all prescribed medication. That has been a problem with these kind of things because it's not taking account into the individual. It's one universal thing for this disease, which works in some cases, but with the more terminal illnesses such as cancers and Alzheimer's, it's a little more heterogeneous, I believe is the word, where it's different from person to person. Continuing on, this custom-made mRNA vaccines work by taking a sample from the patient's tumor and analyzing it for mutations, which thereby allows the person's immune system to differentiate between cancerous and non-cancerous cells. MIT biotech scientist Daniel Anderson says, quote, "One of the things cancer does is it can turn on signals to tell the immune system to quiet down so the cancer is not detected. The goal of an mRNA vaccine is to alert and gear up the immune system to go after the characteristic features of tumor cells and attack them." End quote. That's great.
It is great. It's fantastic, actually.
Yes, seeing
Could
this,
you imagine the absolute hype of like you're working on an mRNA vaccine and you find like what might be a cure for cancer?
yeah,
Or well, not like a cure, but like a treatment. Like
right, yeah,
Yeah, no, it's
wow.
fabulous.
it's amazing. I mean, like, and the way they described it, how like cancer in and of itself like tells the immune system, hey, we're not a threat, is terrifying. So seeing that we can reverse that and tell the immune system like, no, these guys are bad, go after them, is very hopeful and very cool. And the fact that it works, as seen in Molly Cassidy's trials, or Molly Cassidy, her trials, is like the icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not something so outlandish that we have no idea if it's going to work. It's been proven to work in some cases.
It's kind of cool that like the COVID vaccines are or how it like started the production of
Right,
like this.
yeah.
Because it just like wow, like and people who it's kind of funny going back to like the people who don't want to get the COVID vaccine. It's like, but it did this. Like, and if you had cancer, you would want to
Mhm.
take this vaccine.
Right, yeah.
Like it's just kind of cool and crazy how that works.
Yeah, I don't know if so. Like I said, the mRNA that does not roll off the tongue well. Has inspired the COVID vaccines, but I'm not entirely sure they work the same way by like communicating with the immune system. Obviously, like that's what most vaccines do. They like, hey, here's a weak strand of the virus. Keep a lookout for this, and if it ever comes, attack it. But I don't know if it's specifically the same way where it's like, hey, anything that tells you not to attack it, you should attack it instead.
It's most definitely a little bit different considering they are two completely different things.
Very true. Yeah.
But I mean, all in all, whatever works, whatever helps get rid of cancer.
Right.
And
Yeah.
people-
Yeah.
This is good news all around. Campbell, do you have anything?
I think this is amazing news because hopefully we'll try to find more like vaccines or more like medicine to cure like any type of cancer. They've already found like cures for trying to treat Alzheimer's, right?
Right.
And all that stuff. But it's good to see that they're developing vaccines to find a way to have these immune systems that are affected by cancer. So like say, you know what? You're not gonna take away anything from whoever's got cancer, and they're gonna fight it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's amazing how like we've come so far in the age of modern medicine, and like we're like getting things out faster and faster too, because COVID was something entirely new to the entire world in 2020.
Yeah.
In less than a year, we've got a vaccine. It wasn't immediately approved by the FDA, but it was issued for emergency use, and a lot of people have gotten it. And like that's really good, because the last one I remember, or the flu, I should say, took, if my memory serves correct, like 4 years to develop. That's a long time, especially back then in like the 1920s, I believe, where the flu was COVID. It was completely new. Nobody knew what it was. And they worked their hardest, and it took them for almost 4 whole years, as opposed to the less than one that this one took.
No, exactly. And like, so we worked hard. Well, I didn't personally work hard, but like the scientists and all worked hard, and they worked quick, and like they had to. They didn't want to have to, especially with now modern medicine, and modern science, like you can now do that quicker, which is what people I think aren't understanding is like the 4 years it took for the flu shot. It back then is the year-ish that it took to make the COVID vaccine.
Exactly.
So I mean, it all starts to get a little quicker, work a little faster, because they start to understand things a little bit more.
Yeah.
I do just fear that that we're going to hear about this, cancer vaccine trial, and then we're never going to hear about it again.
Yeah, that is.
I do fear that we're never going to hear about it again, because like this might be like a little different take, but like think about it. Modern medicine has come so far, and really cancer is still like there's nothing really for it. So like.
Right.
Was there something before that we just didn't know about? I'm not going to get too much into that.
No, I definitely see what you're saying. And I, in a sense, I would say it is possible that this could be a one and done type story. It would be the worst thing in the world
100%.
if it was, but in the world we know, it's very
possible.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope
But-
is always fleeting.
For sure.
Yeah. But like fingers crossed, hopefully there are more trials, more successes, and like this thing can become a kind of rollout and mainstream rollout, like medicine or therapies or treatments for a lot of other diseases and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But with that being said, we have some more news. Obviously, we've got 15 minutes left in the show. We're not done yet. But we've got some travel news, as a boat plane hybrid that needs no runway can transform short distance travel. Also, from the Good News Network, recently there have been a lot of major technological advancements in transportation, from the Virgin Hyperloop to Tesla's self-driving cars. Now there's the region's Sea Glider, a boat-plane hybrid that can travel 6 times the speed of a ferry and double the distance of an electric aircraft. The company believes that this vehicular combo will corner the market on short distance travel from places like New York to Boston and Santa Barbara to San Francisco. The Sea Glider uses characteristics from a design from the 1960s called wing in ground effect vehicles that allows it to hover just over the surface of the water. These type of vehicles are categorized as boats rather than planes, meaning they adhere to nautical rather than aviation laws, which means the Sea Glider can offer a truly emissions-free travel. And we have a picture of what this seaplane is going to look like. And
I'm very curious to see this.
Boy, look at that. It looks so
Oh
it's
my
straight out of sci-fi.
God.
Those of you who can't see it, it's like it looks like a plane, but then like there's extra like little, what are they, like
Okay,
fan
Motors.
engine
It
motors?
looks like-
propellers, stuff like that. Yeah.
propellers. It looks like that is so bizarre. It's
It
just
is
propellers
straight
all
up
along the side of the
Sci-fi
wing.
I
futuristic.
just got major Transformers vibes.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. It's sleek. It's the
know.
future white, like you see in so many sci-fi movies.
This might be I just think those propellers, all of those look so silly.
It looks kind of like a yacht, but like a plane yacht.
Kind of, yeah. It's so like
Kind of looks like a jet ski, except longer.
yeah,
with wings.
it's got like so many properties of so many different vehicles in it.
Yeah.
But it also I believe I believe the plane is not out yet. So I believe this is like more of a 3D rendering of such a thing rather than an actual picture. And if you look at it, it kind of looks a little bit CGI instead. I'm an animation major, so like I might
You can
see
see
it
this.
differently, but it's still so cool to look at. This is the future. This is exactly what Back to the Future 2 had like in store. Like all the flying cars,
Mhm.
the
Oh yeah, that's
all
true.
that stuff. And,
Exactly.
you know, like living through 2015, obviously that didn't happen.
You know, I wonder if this would like help people who like have those fears of going on planes and flying over the water.
Possibly.
I wonder if it would help those people because like to get on that, because like you're not like flying like crazy above the water. Like you're just kind of gliding across the water, like you'd be
Right.
in a boat, and then like you're
Yeah.
flying regularly over like land. So I wonder if that would help with people's like fears.
Right. Yeah.
And
maybe.
anyway,
I mean, it is so cool to see. And unfortunately, there's no video to like show how it would work, but I want to see it in action so bad. Because
I'd want to see it in the water because it looks
Yeah.
like
Yes.
a plane to me.
'Cause we have
what would it even
seaplanes.
look like?
we have seaplanes, we have planes that sit
Yeah.
on the surface of the water and use the water as a runway for takeoff.
Mhm.
This is a plane boat. So it's kind of like a boat, but it doesn't drive on the water, if that makes sense.
yeah.
It's kind of like a jet ski. Okay, I'm going to use art terms here. So in 3D modeling, you have a plane of just vast emptiness that you model on. And, you know, the plane has a floor. Essentially what this is, it's like somebody made a boat, but didn't correctly lower it all the way. So anytime it moves, it's now just moving above that said floor.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be a boat, but something went wrong with the animation. And now it's just slightly above it where it looks wrong.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It's
That really does.
it's a horrible way of like conveying information because like obviously you're not an animation major, right?
No, I'm not.
Campbell,
No.
Jake,
No, sir.
exactly. So none of you three have any idea what I'm talking about. I'm sure our audience has no idea what in the world I'm saying, but that's the best way I can describe it.
No, but
And-
that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in other news, the region's founders have raised almost $10 million from investors. Some of the investors, including Mark Cuban from Shark Tank.
Oh.
Owner of the
man.
Dallas Mavericks.
That
Yeah.
too. I mean, like I don't think this was on an episode of Shark Tank where region's spokesperson comes in. He's like, "Yeah, I got a boat plane idea. Who wants in?"
It's right outside. Let's
Yeah,
go look at it.
exactly.
You know?
Let's go for a ride.
But I wonder what it looks like inside too, because
Yeah.
does it look more boaty or does it look more like a plane? because
Right.
they have very different looks
Very
in,
true.
in both like layouts.
And I
So-
wonder, because it's hard to tell from the picture, I wonder how big it actually is. Like if it's a more,
exactly.
like if it's a more 747 like thing that can hold a lot of passengers, or if it's more
Small
like a
group
private
travel.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a speedboat.
yeah,
per
like
se.
here's
The
10
vibe I'm getting is private, right? Because it's like a short-term travel.
Right. Yeah.
probably, yeah.
But it's still so cool. And like I know ferries don't, I've been on a few ferries that don't go super fast, but still 6 times that speed is pretty good.
Yeah, it's taking you somewhere for sure.
It's so absolutely insane.
And this is just like a first thing. So who's to say in like a couple years it comes out, they've done it for a couple years, they've updated it, it's bigger,
Exactly.
it's faster,
Yeah.
it'll change, that's for sure.
Yeah, the article also says at some point, where is it? That you know, based on because it can follow boat laws instead of plane laws, they hope that soon the company here from the article, quote, the company imagines that battery advances currently being pursued should raise the range of the Sea Glider to 500 miles from the 180 miles in the not too distant future. So it's set for short travel now. Like I said, Boston, New York, Santa Monica to Santa Barbara to San Francisco. But in the near future, they're like, hey, we can go even further with this.
Let's go all the way to England. Let's do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's
We can
go.
drop soon enough. Like you said, through advancements, there's probably going to be
Mhm.
transoceanic travel,
Yeah, no, definitely.
which okay, for one, I'm going to say personally, I like this because if I'm lower to the ocean, there's no pressure change. And so my ears will not be popping once the plane lands.
Oh, true.
I hate that.
True.
Yeah, that doesn't affect me like it affects everybody else.
Really?
It's like they pop, but I'm just like swallow, done.
Right. It doesn't
whatever.
affect me too badly. Recently, I went to Florida for vacation, and coming back, my sister and my dad had it a lot worse. I
Yeah.
got off easy, but for the longest time as a kid, it was so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's messed me up though a couple times too, really bad. But I don't know, it's always a wild card.
It was like my sister-in-law had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. My sister-in-law had that this summer. We went to Florida as well. And she like for like a day after like a whole like 24 hours or so after we got off the plane had like pain in her ears from the popping. And I was like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, sometimes it can be really bad like that.
yeah.
Campbell, have you ever had that?
Well, I've never been on a plane before, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have you gone like more of an elevated surface in your ears than the popping thing?
Oh, so on 280, like West Orange,
Mhm.
like
Okay.
that area, like West Orange. So once you pass like where we take my brother to school, 'cause
Mhm.
my brother goes to school in West Orange. But so once we go like past like it, there's like an elevate like the area like where like the mountains are, like on Essex County. Like once we get an exit, you hear like a popping sound in your ear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
what
you
it
can
is.
feel it. It's like crazy.
No,
It's
yeah.
not a great feeling, but I
Mm.
will say this. If anyone does have that issue, I have found that chewing gum while the plane is landing helps a lot, or just doing that chewing
Yeah,
motion.
that's the big thing.
Yeah, it's because it creates saliva, so you have to consistently swallow.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was going to say I don't know the science behind it, but
That's it.
Apparently
That's
you
the
do.
science.
Yeah, now you do.
yeah, but like, so for one am pretty excited this for pretty much that reason alone. Although, you know, a flight that's not too long is pretty manageable. It's nice. Like Florida, 2 hours, not bad. I'll
Yeah.
read a book, do something. It's the longer flights that like
To another country.
stuff like that
9-hour flight.
over to
Yeah.
California. Well, here's the thing. So if it can do this, if it's a whole boat plane thing,
Mhm.
can it be used for, let's say, from New Jersey to California if the battery so allows? Because
Technically,
that's a
yeah.
lot of land, not water. But if it's a plane, would it be able to?
It
What I'm
could,
trying to
I
ask
mean-
is it able to be up? Like, can it soar to the altitudes of, say,
Of
a
regular
7040? Yeah, a 747 passenger plane.
I mean, I don't
I
see
do
why
not believe. I
not.
do not know if that's the right type of plane, though. I could be wrong.
Well, worst comes to worst, like say, because we would travel from Jersey to California, right?
Right.
You could go around.
True. It's a long way around.
I
But
mean, yeah, but
yeah,
I mean,
you
if you
could.
if you really wanted to, you could go around. But I'm sure because it's a plane hybrid, it probably
Yeah.
could.
I guess it
Yeah.
depends on like the size and how much of the plane portion of it they put in to this plane boat hybrid,
Exactly.
stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's all we've got for today. We are nearing the end of the show. And on certain days, at this point, usually the host of the next show would come in and we would do a little interview about them with what's coming up on their show. However, the next host for the show just so happens to be me. So it's going to be kind of hard to interview myself on, like, hey, hey, hi, me, what is your show going to be about? I can't make it to both mics in time, but I guess I'm obligated to just spend a few minutes talking about that. And I guess as I set up and stuff, but so I run a show, for those of you who don't know, called King's Chaos. It's a talk show about pretty much anything because I'm not one to tie myself down to anything specific. So I like just have that option open of talking about anything I want to, whenever I want to. And with that being said, today for the next hour from 9 to 10, I will be, me and a guest who's coming in soon, will be describing album covers and talking about some of our
that's
favorite
sick.
albums. Yeah, because I did a show few months ago with Mike Foley, and we talked about what made an album cover good, like what album covers do we like,
Yeah.
and what makes a bad, like what's a lackluster album cover. And so I like that idea so much, I wanted to go into specific albums on the show. And so today is the first episode of that, and I'm
That's
kind
so
of
sick.
excited. But that's still a few minutes away. We've got a minute left of the morning buzz. Thank you everybody for coming here. I really hope we have a great show for the rest of the semester. Thank you guys. Jake, how's it feel being in studio again? Actually, everybody, how's it feel being in studio again?
Love it.
I love it. It's good to
Oh,
be
it's
back.
so cool. It's so sick.
It's back. We're not back entirely. There's still a few restrictions we have to go through, but here
We're
we
here.
are. We are in studio, and that's gonna wrap it up today for the first Tuesday episode of the Fall Morning Buzz of 2021. Once again, for one last time this week, I have been your host, Kyle Pepitone, joined with, all right, I'm gonna try and line this up with a Facebook. Jacob Goetz. Nope. Okay, over here
Yeah,
in the
he's
diagonal
down
corner.
corner.
Gabby Lutz.
Yep.
And below me, Campbell Donovan. Thank you all. Have a great day.